Russia will be evacuating more people from Afghanistan, and the process has already started. The country sent 4 military planes to evacuate 500 of its citizens and those of its regional allies in Afghanistan. The U.S. concluded its military presence in Afghanistan yesterday, a day before today's deadline. Joe Biden said in a statement that the decision was a unanimous recommendation of the Joint Chiefs. It is not clear whether the extra flights would continue past today's deadline, agreed between the U.S. President Joe Biden and the Taliban for the withdrawal of U.S. troops. We're now joined by the SABC International News editor, Sophie Mokoena, on this story. A very good day to you, Sophie, and thanks for joining us. The U.S. is out of Afghanistan. What does the future hold for this country?
Well, Desiree, as you are aware that indeed the U.S. completed its withdrawal yesterday, but the challenge facing Afghanistan right now is whether the Taliban will be able to deal with the current situation where you have ISIS-K trying to attack certain important institutions, including the airport. That speaks to the issue of security in Afghanistan. After the withdrawal, clearly there are challenges around the security. Two, the institutions such as banks and important places are not functioning right now. It is not clear yet when will these institutions operate. We also know that the IMF and the World Bank has indicated that they will not be expanding loans and also assistance or grants to Afghanistan as they have done for the last past 20 years. And therefore the challenge is how will the Afghan people survive? Because you know that because of poverty and war, institutions such as IMF and World Bank, including the United States of America and its allies, have been helping the community. The United Nations, humanitarian assistance has been coming forward, but now it is even difficult for the United Nations to access Afghanistan, and therefore they are not able to help people who are suffering. The last important issue, it's not clear yet when will the Taliban announce a new administration or cabinet, and if they do that, who will be included and who will be left out. And therefore, the future in Afghanistan is still very, very dark in terms of where the country is going from here. Yes, indeed, the Taliban is in charge, but we also have ISIS-K that is fighting very hard to capture Afghanistan.
In your analysis, has Joe Biden been able to handle this withdrawal in a better way?
You can argue that he did perhaps move too soon to withdraw the American soldiers in Afghanistan. But let's remember 20 years in Afghanistan, and America has spent so much money, trillions of US dollars. Secondly, the situation clearly demonstrates that that money was wasted, because you can see now that the intention was to ensure that you install or you assist that Afghanistan has a credible democratic government, as US said then. But unfortunately, the very same people they were hunting, the Taliban, are back in power, and also they had to work with the Taliban towards the withdrawal. And therefore, the question is, staying there, was it going to result or give better results? Not at all. And two, let us not remember that it was former President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, who came with this deadline. And therefore, Biden was just implementing what Donald Trump had agreed on with stakeholders in the Doha talks. And therefore, maybe the question is, during this crisis, based on the U.S. intelligence, he could have done taken different decisions in terms of the process itself, extending the date, or perhaps getting more people to assist him to think about a way forward. But unfortunately, it's done. Americans have left Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is now in the hands of the Taliban. On the side, you have ISIS-K fighting very hard to recapture Afghanistan.
So yesterday, the Security Council met. China and Russia abstained from voting. What does this mean?
Clearly, China and Russia were quick to almost endorse the Taliban. We know that they've held meetings with the Taliban, and we know that recently there has been talks between Taliban and China, and therefore it was expected that the two members of the Security Council, the permanent 5 members, Russia and China, were not going to support the United States of America, because you know that Russia and China see the United States of America as an aggressor, and therefore there was no way that they would have supported the resolution that speaks to the withdrawal and perhaps a way forward. And that resolution dominated by views from the United States of America. China and Russia have started relations with the Taliban and with Afghanistan, and therefore they chose to abstain because they don't want to be seen as endorsing the position of the United States of America and its allies.
In the final analysis, was the 20-year war worth it?
Not at all. When you look at the amount of money spent in this war, you'll see that it's trillions of US dollars. That money could have been utilized to deliver better services for the globe, the world in general, perhaps with programs that are aimed at ensuring there's peace and security around the world. And those issues will revolve around strengthening the global economy. We know that as long as there are countries that are poor, those people in those countries will be vulnerable to insurgents and perhaps to other forces. And therefore, I think it was not really worth it. But America would argue that they were able to get Osama bin Laden, and perhaps that's the price they had to pay to get Osama bin Laden. But the reality is Taliban is back. Taliban is in charge in Afghanistan.
Sophie Mokoena is the international editor at SABC News. Thank you so much for making the time to speak to us.